feeling cold against your skin. Running through the chaos, letting all the sin. Temptation in a bottle, ready for the night. Craving for the thrill, it's time to ignite. Dark desires burning bright. Echoes in the dead of night. No retreat, no looking back on this heart attack.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, how are you? A couple of hours since we had the big press conference. Everyone's had a little bit of time to calm down and, try and debrief on this a little bit. So I thought that's what we'll do. We'll sort of go through it, have another look, show you some of these photos because we've got some more high resolution versions of them now. And I'll be able to do that for you. Hold on. So we got a bit more of a look at some of these aerial photography, which is really cool. Here, I'm going to put them up on the screen for you. Yeah, these are the mine shafts that they checked. They're right. So these are the mine shafts that they were having a look at, and you can, if I can get my remove my headphones. There we go. That's sort of what it looks like from the air, right? And then they zoom in. Like, that's what it looks like from up further, and then here you go. You can see one of the mine shafts, and then a different one over here. There's another one. So these are what they originally thought. Well, I think it's, if you had to look for a child on a property and you're trying to guess where it might have got to, a mine shaft's a pretty good theory. But they're saying they checked these mine shafts and there was no kid, no Gus. So it seems like they basically ran out of options. Like there's no other place for him to be. And there's that search radius. They were saying like this blue one is the one they searched on foot. And then they've gone even further with the aerial. And they went all the way out to 700 square kilometers around Oak Park. So way, way further than this kid can ever walk on his own, ever. Like 700 square kilometers. And that station is massive on its own. Like, yeah. The station on its own is more than 95 square kilometers. Like this thing is bigger than some than some suburbs, half a city. Like when they layered it over Adelaide, this setup was like wider than Adelaide, the city. So it's massive. Um, just you can't comprehend how large this search area is. Did Skippy give him a lift? I don't know. There was a lot of kangaroos, so I have a photo of that. Hold on. We had a photo of the AI results. Here, I'm going to put it up on the screen if I can get it. I have it. Here. So here's a look at those AI results of like what the AI found when they were flying the aircraft through the area. And I noticed this, like it can pick up the sheep and the goats. Over 5,761 red kangaroos in that area, and only 484 western grey kangaroos, and only 178 wallabies. But if you look here, they also had carcasses of animals that had died. Red kangaroo carcass, 114 dead kangaroos. Sheep, 50 dead sheep. And then they said they saw 2 goat carcasses as well. So not only could this thing pick up alive animals, it could pick up dead animals too. So I'm guessing for humans, it could also pick up a human who's alive and a dead human. So they only saw one human in the whole thing, and that was the guy on the motorbike, which they showed a photo of. Yeah, no dingoes. Dingoes don't really live in this area, I don't think. They live in different areas. Yeah, the softwares are really amazing. Internet crimes against children just left Savannah's sister's home. They had a search warrant. Crimes against children? When have we been talking about children? That's a missing adult. That's weird. Does she have children? Like, I'm not sure. Does she have like little kids or something? Hmm. That's strange. We'll talk about that in a minute though. Let's go through this thing first. But yeah, um, very strange, very strange. Hold on. All right. So yeah, that's that search area, which yeah, I reckon if there was a dead person, even if they were decomposed, this thing would have picked it up. Like that just shows you how detailed it was. Can even tell you on this map exactly where they saw it, which is really impressive. This technology for searching for things, pretty impressive. Um okay, we'll see. All right. So let's go back. I want to play a little bit here down this bit if we can.
Not make any further comment about the suspect. It's a short opportunity to thank some people so far. As I've said, assist us locate Gus. Finally, I'd like to sincerely thank Task Force Horizon of 4-wheel drive. So on that, I just want to quickly go through to firm that up for you. Through all of this effort, we have found no evidence to suggest that Gus was abducted from the property. So on that, I just want to quickly go through to firm that up for you, what opportunity for abduction might look like. Oak Park Station is remote. It is 45 kilometres inland from the nearest main roadway, which is the Barrier Highway. Oak Park Station doesn't have a signpost or anything like that off a road that points you to Oak Park Station. There's nothing obvious that would lead you to Oak Park Station unless you know where you're going and the way there. It can only be accessed by one of two 45-kilometre dirt roads that come in from different directions. The red line on the bottom right there will show you, it looks like one road, but it's actually two. You'll see Oak Park Station kind of in the middle there. The one line that comes in from the left of that picture and the other from the top right are the two roads that come into Oak Park Station. They can only be accessed by 4-wheel drive.
Yeah, so what they demonstrated through the press conference, the entire press conference was basically demonstrating what they'd done over the last few months, which was eliminate anything they could from an outside source. Could he have walked off on his own? Could he have walked off on his own and been abducted? Could somebody have driven up to the property and abducted him? Could some random child offender get to the property and do something? And everything that they researched was basically no. That doesn't seem likely. And their search of the surrounding area indicates that he did not walk off on his own. And now we know they have a suspect, which is the big firecracker news from today is the suspect is a family member who lived with Gus at the time. If we go back to the original sort of day this all happened and go to the original setting that we were told, Gus's grandmother, Shannon, she was with Gus at the time. And here, let me read you out what they said here. Police said Shannon was the last person to see Gus at about 5 p.m. when he was playing in the sand outside the homestead. Now, they have basically said in all of their research and talking to the family and talking to other people, Gus never did that. This whole, oh, he was playing outside in the sand was not an activity that Gus ever really did. He was not known to do it. It's not something he regularly did. And it sounds like possibly this is where the timelines start to get a little bit bullshit. So we're going to have to wait and see. But I think people are also getting confused between the grandparents. There are two grandmothers. There is Shannon. She's a biological female. She is the Gus's mum's mum. There is another grandma called Josie. Josie is a transgendered woman. She's the daughter's grandma, but was originally a male. The one that was with Gus is the maternal grandma. That's who was with. Well, as what we know, according to the information, she was the last one to be with Gus. She was the last one with him. A lot of people throwing a lot of shade towards the other grandma, but that's not the one. It's the other one. So yeah, it is a little bit. That's just the facts though. Like I can't change it. It's just Gus has two grandmas. They used to be I don't know if they still are, but they used to be a married couple. They had a daughter. That daughter is Gus's mother. Later in life, the male of the couple transitioned to a female and now lives life as a transgendered female. So, and her name is Josie, but it's Shannon who was last seen with Gus. This could all change at some point, and the cops could come out and tell us this particular story is all BS and it's another person, but we have to go off what we've been told. And I want people to sort of, if you're going to point fingers, you might as well point it at the ones that are the correct ones that we have information on. So why not? Why? Who's going to come and get us? Why? Who's going to come and get us and tell us we can't talk about it? Are the thought police going to come? There's no one being charged for the crime, so we can say whatever we want. The only time it changes is when we have a trial going. When you have a trial, someone's been charged, you're going into that court process, then what the media can say is restricted, because we can't talk about things from the pre-trial, we can't, and so there's like multiple stages with it. When someone is charged, you then have to be sort of careful about what you say. You're not fully restricted from saying a lot, but you sort of have to keep to the facts. Then when you start getting into the pre-trial area, you have to be very careful about what you say, especially if you're someone attending the pre-trial hearings or something like that. You have to sort of stick to the facts. Then when you get to trial, you during pre-trial, you can't say anything anyway, so it doesn't matter, but you are sort of under the contempt and subjudice laws, even during pre-trial, but they sort of more come into play when you get to trial. And when you're in trial, you have to abide by a lot of things, only when it's said in front of the jury, can't give your opinions, stuff like that. But right now, we just have a suspect in a case. It's okay. You can say whatever you want. No one's going to come in and charge you with anything. So, Kathy said, when did you say our next trial was? April, early April. So very early, not that long, not that far away. About 2 months away, 8 weeks away, something like that. So not that far away now. We're heading to the Patrick Orrin Stevenson trial in Ballarat. So yeah, I hope that clears it up about the grandparents, about which one and who, and which one is the one that was last seen with Gus, as the story goes. And like I said, it may change. We heard today that some of the information given to authorities didn't line up. Some of the information given to authorities was able to be proven incorrect. We just don't know what that information is because he wouldn't talk about it. He's saying they wanted to protect their investigation and he wasn't going to go into it. But we could find out that it wasn't actually Shannon that was with Gus. It could have been another family member, but we just sort of have to look at it where we are. So who was at home at the time? It was the grandparents and the mum and Gus and the other children. It says here that Josie and Gus's mother, Jessica, went out to tend to the animals and were about 10 kilometers away when Gus disappeared. The only person with Gus at that time was Shannon. Take that for what it is. I can't confirm that that's their suspect, but if you play the elimination game, you're not left with too many adults in the household who who you can sort of point the finger to. So yeah, let me show you a photo of Josie and Shannon. Hold on. Yeah, I got a photo of them both, if I can get it. I thought I had a photo of both of them at a cafe. Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't. I thought I had one. But here, you guys can see this is Josie. This is the other grandmother. There you go. I'll see if I've got the other one. I thought I did. Yeah, here. This is the other grandma. This is Shannon. So they're the two people, the couple, or were a couple. I'm not sure if they are anymore. But that is Jessica's mother and mother. Gail said, I actually like that the parents lived together after they transitioned. Sure. Yeah. But yeah, they're the two people that'll be a pretty heavy focus, at least if the information is correct, it'll be Shannon that's under the gun, most likely. But we don't know. That's what I was saying. You have to be very careful because the cops did say that some of the information given is not correct. So until they clarify exactly what that information is and what part of it is incorrect, this whole timeline that we were given could be completely broken. It could mean nothing. So this whole thing about them being 10K away with the sheep and then this person was here and they could all be incorrect and Gus died 24 hours before that. Even though during the press conference they did say they were working from the original timeline, it's hard to know like what parts are being lied about and which ones are not. So that's all I mean. So before you start poking fingers at people and saying this is the person and need more information, need some more clarification from authorities, I think. All right. I want to play one more bit from that press conference if I can.
Which was conducted of the Oak Park Station homestead, dipped, and the versions.
All right, here, this bit.
People in the area at the time. So it leaves us with the other part of the investigation, and that is investigating whether people known to Gus were involved in his disappearance. So from the time that Gus went missing, the family members have been cooperating with police and providing information that has assisted with establishing the movements of Gus around the time that he went missing. A detailed review of all of that information has been conducted by Task Force Horizon members. As a result of that, we've identified a number of inconsistencies and discrepancies with that information as it relates to timelines and the versions of events provided to us by the family members. As a result of these inconsistencies and investigations into them, a person who resides at Oak Park Station has withdrawn their support for the police and is no longer cooperating with us.
Yeah, so you just heard it from him. They talk about the timelines, the information given, a lot of it's incorrect. So that's what I mean. Like, I know everyone's so quick to want to know who the suspect is, and we all may be right, but they're deliberately withholding some of the information. So it'll become more clear probably in the next few weeks, I would guess. In the next few weeks, it'll become a lot more clarified. Kathy, thank you so much for the super chat. $20. That is very, very generous. I appreciate it. It will go to the trial and travel expenses. I appreciate it very much. She says, please donate to Ping's trial and travel expenses. I would appreciate it. You don't have to if you don't want to. The channel is free for everyone, but it would be appreciated because the trials, it depends. Like, we're going to do the Isla Belle trial. I'm hoping it's going to be this year, but it might go into early next year. That one's in Melbourne, so it won't cost anything to do. I can just travel there on the train every day. It's like 40 minutes from home. It's pretty quick to get there. It won't cost anything. Sometimes when we have to go out into these rural areas like Ballarat and Morwell and things like that, they're a bit more tricky because I have to stay out there for a period and then come back and then go back out there, and they're a little more expensive than some of the trials we do in Melbourne. Hopefully we get some more trials in Melbourne because I'm sort of sick of going out into these country areas and being stuck out there for periods of time. Hi Warner Steele, how are you? Good to see you. You give enough already. It's fine. You give heaps. Hey little Annie, how are you? And we're back. We've been back for a while. Hey Diane, good to see you. So yeah, like you heard, timelines could be different. By the time we actually see a charging document, they could be very, very different to what we know today. Yeah, that bit you heard, he said a number of inconsistencies and discrepancies in relation to timelines and the version of events provided by family members. As a result of these inconsistencies and the investigation into them, a person who resides at Oak Park Station has withdrawn their support from police and is no longer cooperating with us. They also said that they have legal representation, that they have picked up a lawyer. So they have basically lawyered up and shut down their cooperation with authorities. So, yeah, that's basically what has happened. I feel very sorry for the family because I don't know how on earth you live, even though the property is like hundreds of square kilometers. I don't know how you live so close to someone who may have hurt your child, may have hurt your only, it's horrible, right? Especially coming from someone so close to the parents and the children themselves. So I'm sure that's why the parents are having a very tough time. And that's why the cops said at the end, don't be heading onto the station. He warned media, if you head back out there, they will charge people with trespassing. They do not want media heading onto Oak Park station anymore. During the early part of the search, media did head onto the station, and it was sort of somewhat tolerated, sort of, not really, but it was sort of yeah, sort of semi-tolerated in some ways, but it started to get a little testy near the end. And then media were told to stop coming onto the property back then. And now another warning has come out saying, do not go onto the property or you may be charged with a crime. So they really don't want people out there. Let's see. They told the media earlier today they did execute a search warrant out there, and they took what they described as some electronic devices, a motorbike, and a vehicle. And they're saying they are basically going through those items forensically and trying to figure out if there's anything there of value to them. But this bit here is interesting. Only as recently as January 14 and 15, when they attended on the property, did we get more information that we have analyzed and reviewed, which again has highlighted some discrepancies. So when we line the information that we received from the family against what we've been doing concurrently in relation to searching and the abduction possibility, all of that information has taken some time to get here or to get to this point. So that's what they had to say about why it has taken this long to sort of change their tune from this kid walked off into the wilderness to most likely a family member has been involved. Gayla said, even if it's an accident, the fact it was hidden was unforgivable, right? I think if something happened and the kid died, it's a tragedy, but it didn't have to be like this. It didn't have to be like this. If they had called an ambulance and told the parents straight away, it may have never made it into the media. It may have just, there's kids, unfortunately, that die all the time from backyard accidents or, hit by a car, all sorts of things that happen. And only some of them make it into the media. Unfortunately, whatever's happened, people have tried to cover it up. And now it is one of the biggest stories in Australia. It is a massive true crime story. And there are multiple people reporting on it, covering it. It's got a life of its own now. Marilyn said all the hours they search for Gus, and I feel for the searchers. Some days out there we're getting upwards of like 50 degrees. That is like 118 degrees Fahrenheit out there with no shade, just sun beating down on you. Those searchers, they really put their body on the line to try and find this child and bring them home. But yes, declared a major crime now. They have a suspect, and the thing that they've identified is timeline discrepancies that has taken them to this point now. So I'm just trying to see if there's anything else we haven't talked about. Yeah, I think that's it. In some questioning that we didn't hear in the show a couple of hours ago, I saw it on a different version of the interview. A reporter asked a question. I think they asked, do you think Gus is alive? Authorities confirmed that they don't believe that Gus is alive and that they don't think there's a chance they will bring him back. Like, he's not being hidden somewhere. He hasn't been shipped away alive. They do not believe he is alive. So they believe he has passed away. They did not. They did not. You have named the Nightbot? Okay. Nigel the Nightbot? Well, he is a bit of a Nigel. That is true. All right, let me see if I can find the question where they ask about that. I think it's down here. Here, let me turn this down a bit.
Needed to be followed up. We don't know whether any of those people have been unwavering in all of that.
Now?
Yes.
And how is that causing a challenge for police?
I'll just leave it at that. They've got legal representation. Quickly, when they were advised that Gus was missing, yes, there was some time in between, but it is possible.
Did you believe the timeline of when he was last seen?
Seized a vehicle.
You are in such a remote area. What's the difference between that and that in the city? Signs before that police believe Gus is dead.
All right, here.
How delicate that is and what that means for the family. Yep.
Just going back to the option of whether someone known to him has been involved in his disappearance. When you say that, obviously it's been publicised before that police believe Gus is dead. So you're suggesting that somebody known to him has killed him either deliberately or accidentally. Is that specifically what you're saying?
That is what is being explored. Yes. Yep. We don't believe now that Gus is alive. That is true.
How difficult is an investigation like this where you go into a potential disappearance to then be able to treat it as a potential murder or accidental death? How difficult is that line to tread for police in these investigations?
Yeah, and it is difficult to tread, but we follow the evidence. We work on the information that comes in, and that's why it's 4 months we've been doing this. So investigations take many twists and turns. As I said, we've 380 Crime Stopper actions that need to be followed up. We don't know whether any of those have the small part of the jigsaw puzzle or the small snippet that we're looking for. So it's challenging. It's delicate at times when you're dealing with family members. It's challenging when you're dealing with the broader community, when you know a 4-year-old child is missing. But our people have been unwavering in all of that. They've kept an open mind and still do for much of the time. So it has its challenges, but we've got a great team of people working on Task Force Horizon, and I'm confident we'll come up with the right resolution.
Does the suspect have legal representation now?
Yes.
And how is that causing a challenge for police?
I'll just leave it at that. They've got legal representation.
Do you think Gus was ever there when police were there initially?
Possibly. Police were on scene quite quickly when they were advised that Gus was missing.
I thought that was a pretty big tell where he talks about that right there, and he goes, when police were advised that Gus was missing, when. He made a real big emphasis on that, and we know there was a delay of when authorities were contacted, but it almost made it seem like they don't believe that, we know there's a discrepancy with the timeline, but it's almost like they believe maybe possibly that timeline is way off, like possibly hours, because he's like, maybe he was there at the time. Yeah, I saw that during the first watch when we did the live stream, and I was like, he seemed very emphatic with the whole when we were called. So I don't know, it could be hours different, because we all talked about that 30-minute timeline and how come they couldn't find him, and now we know it's most likely someone has I wonder, how they took a vehicle? I wonder if maybe, and this is a horrible thing to say about a child, but I wonder if Gus was sort of squirreled away somewhere and then taken off the property at some point, like in a vehicle, hidden in an engine bay, which sounds terrible. It's a horrible idea. But people who do these type of things are very desperate people to hide their crimes and will go to any length not to be caught. And you just go, why did they take that vehicle? And then they say, with the timeline, and that he might have been there. But if he was there, the cops were there too, and they were searching everywhere. So I don't know. That bit was interesting to me. Yeah, let's play it again quickly.
Legal representation.
Do you think Gus was ever there when police were there initially?
Possibly. Police were on scene quite quickly, quickly when they were advised that Gus was missing.
Yeah, he really liked that point. If you had probably asked a body language expert, they might be able to tell you a lot about that little interaction right there. I know enough to be dangerous. I know a little bit, but even I picked up on that was, they seemed very interesting with it. That was a dig. I don't think it was. I mean, yes, I think they probably think that, well, yes, we know that the timeline's wrong. So maybe he's like, "Wow, we didn't get called for hours after we found out," because they have more information than we do. So maybe he's all like, "Oh, we believe this happened at like 1 p.m., not 5 p.m." Like, do you know what I mean? So like, he's like, "Yeah, we didn't get called for 5.5 hours." Like, it could be something like that. But I don't know. Ask the behavior panel; they'll be able to tell you. But yeah, so just some interesting points. Where's this
Electronic
one?
devices.
In terms of the difference, I mean, this is quite different to any other murder investigation or alleged murder investigation in terms of the remoteness of this. Is it hard to confirm discrepancies, timelines when you are in such a remote area? What's the difference between that and that in the city?
Yes, it is. One of the biggest challenges we've had in this investigation is the location of where it's occurred. So, in a metropolitan area, we can.
Yeah, I think it stopped there anyway. I think I brought that point up like 4 months ago that had this happened in a city, they would have been able to figure this out really quickly. But considering when you look at that size of that land, that family basically controls an area the size of basically that's bigger than your suburb. So your entire suburb, wherever you live, is probably probably not as big as this. And you think about that type of just immense land where there's like no cameras, there's only a few neighbors, there's only a few other people that live on the property in different places. And it's not like when you're in like suburbia where there's a house every, 50 feet or whatever. There's like apartments and shops and cameras and ring doorbell, traffic cameras. So the cops have had their work cut out for them on this one. How much land? I think I saw a thing about Oak Park. I'll try find it. Hold on. No, it's not Oak Station. Size. It's some like ungodly amount of size. Where's my photo here? Oak Park Station. Oak. Unfortunately, we don't have the photo where they overlaid it on. They overlaid it over Adelaide, and it was like almost the size of Adelaide. It's 470 square kilometers or 180 square miles. 180 square miles. Think of how big that is and where you live. It's like you control your entire suburb. It's like you would have control of that entire area. So yeah, blamed it on a cat. You would like to say something? Sure. It's all about Bung. I don't know. I feel like the Bung case in Victoria back in 2011 or 2014, 2009. I can't remember what year now. I don't know. That case irks me because I feel like it's solvable. And I feel like detectives have missed something, people have missed something. There's something that's not been picked up on. Like a little girl just doesn't get picked up on the side of the road walking to school, like at 8 a.m. in the morning when everyone's going to school. There's hundreds of kids around, people driving their kids to school, and no one really saw her except for like one witness. It's something wrong with that story, and I've always felt that way, that there's just something really bizarre, and I don't have access to the police file for her, but there's just something wrong. I just don't know what it is. It's called a station because it's a cattle station. It's just another word for I don't know what the word that you guys would use. A ranch. In America, you'd probably use the word ranch. So like, you guys have like a cattle ranch. That's the word that you guys would probably use for the same type of area. Lisbeth said, I've been obsessed by Bung's case for a long time. It's a hard case to get into because there's not a lot to get into. There's not a lot of information, there's not a lot of evidence, there's not a lot of anything. All we know is that a girl was walking to school and she disappeared. Other than that, there's so little information. Maybe someone saw her, maybe they didn't. Maybe another person saw her, maybe they didn't. It's very hard to know. I've heard DD is good. Okay. Yeah, send it to me. I'll read it later. All right. Let's go back here. So do you have any more photos to show you? I think they provided this one too for people who don't believe that they searched the dams. Here's one of the dams right here. I don't know why it says, is that on their photo? Oh no. The poor people at VicPol, not VicPol, South Australian Police, who left a little thing here that says save to G Drive when they were probably taking the screenshot or whatever. They left that up. Good work. There's one of the dams, and you see the dive team inside of the dam up in this top corner, searching that dam. And then on the bottom right here, this is when they were pumping the dam and getting the water out of it. There's another dam in the next to it too. So they actually drained the water out of these dams to try and see if he was in there, and he was not. So woman has still said, if I was one of Gus's parents, I would protect anyone who hurt I wouldn't protect anyone who hurt my child, even if it was a parent. The parents are okay, it's not a parent. Why did they protect the grandma? I don't know. We don't have that information. All right. Betsy said, I'm not familiar with Bung. Sounds like another one I don't have the constitution for. There's not a lot to tell you about her. Yeah, I see the Herald article, if this is what you're referring to. They're saying fundraiser for gravely ill mum. That's her mum there on the right. She may die not knowing what happened to her daughter. Why is she dying? Has it said what's going on with her? She's had crippling medical bills. Let's see. They're saying she's gravely ill. That's very sad. I would have hoped she would have found out what happened to her daughter. Let's see if we can go. She's had several. So it sounds like she's had lymphoma since May of 2024, and it sounds like it's terminal. She's now entered palliative care with only weeks or days to live. There are fears she will die without ever knowing what happened to her daughter. That is horrific. That is really sad. She's not even that old. She's actually quite a young woman. Here's a photo. This photo is back when she originally went missing, I think. How sad. Let's see. So in 2024, she was diagnosed with primary central nervous system lymphoma and has battled through many rounds of treatment. Unfortunately, she is now in palliative care. Far out. Oh, it's really sad when this type of thing happens with parents of either missing people or murdered loved ones. And it seems like they're most likely not going to get the answers. I would like it to happen. That'd be great if someone could turn up tomorrow and tell us what happened to Bung, but it just seems like it probably won't happen. Nothing has happened in many, many years in this particular case. Nothing. I promise you, since the day she went missing until today, we know the same amount of information. There's not been a break, there's not been a suspect, there's not been anything, like, nothing. There's been no movement. Um, that's really sad. Here, let me take you out to Channel 9. They had an update on it, and I'll play it for you if I can get to it, which I think I can. Yeah, let me take you out to Channel 9 quickly.
Now to a sad twist in the case of missing schoolgirl Bung Siriboon, who vanished in 2011. Nira Tai is in Boronia for us tonight. Now, Nira, you have exclusive new details on this story.
That's right, Alicia. I can tell you that Bung's mother, Vanita, has been battling cancer for the past couple of years. She was diagnosed in 2024 with lymphoma and has undergone rounds of chemo. But today I can confirm that she is now in palliative care and only has days or even weeks to live. We know that Bung vanished here on Elsie Street in Baroni in 2011. This year marks 15 years since the schoolgirl disappeared without a trace. It is now feared that her mother may not know what happened to her.
Some answers would change everything. I think it would give Nick the closure and the space to pass on without that pain. These could be her final days. You would think that someone would say something now to help a grieving mum.
You just heard there from a very emotional friend of Bung who sat next to her every day in class. She has now set up a GoFundMe page for the family to support Fred and Vanita during this very difficult time. There is still a $1 million reward for information from Victoria Police.
Yeah, if you hear that, $1 million reward if you can come forward and tell authorities what happened to Bung and who did it to her. You could get $1 million and you could give a dying woman some peace in her final moments, because it doesn't sound like this lady is going to get any better. It sounds like she is really at the end of her life, and that is extremely sad. That I hope she finds out, and I hope when she if she does leave this world, that she meets up with her daughter again. It is really sad. I don't know. I wish I knew more. But if you don't know this story, Bung Siriboon was a 13-year-old girl last seen on June 2nd, 2011, as she left her Elsie Street home to walk to Boronia Heights College around the corner. It wasn't far away. She never made it to school that day and has never been seen since. Yeah, just disappeared, walking to school, and that's really all we sort of know. I really wish I had more information to give you, but there was a guy a number of years ago that came forward saying that he hit her and killed her with a car and buried her out in a quarry. But that guy ended up being a bit of a nutcase who was just doing it for attention, and he had nothing to do with her at all. Cops checked into it, checked the quarry where he said he had buried her, and they didn't find anything. And they just realized he was talking rubbish. But They've had they have had suspects, but no one public. That I know police have had people on their dossier or their file. I don't think they've ever felt like there was someone that they could put into the public domain and be like, "That's the person. That's who we think did it." I think they've got some ideas of who could have been involved, but I don't think it's ever been made public. Lisbeth said I might have to go and have a walk to the road where she was last seen one day. Yeah, it's not far from where I live either. Kelly said it's so crazy when people insert themselves or admit to crimes they didn't commit. Yeah. Gail said, was she actually seen that morning? I believe she was. It's been 15 years. I can't fully remember. I think so. I think there were people who saw her. Yeah, so Thursday, the 2nd of June in 2011 at approximately 8:25 a.m., she left her family home to walk to school. She was dressed in her school uniform, also wearing a dark blue zip front school jacket and carrying a backpack. She was seen by a neighbor a short time later in Elsie Street, walking towards Albert Avenue. She did not arrive to school and failed to return home in the afternoon. She has not been seen or heard from since then. So, yeah, no one's seen her or heard from her since 2011 on that fateful morning. So, let's see. Sorry, who's messaging me? Um, yeah, I mean, I see what you're talking about, Lisa, but like I said, there's been a few people in the sight of police before. Gail said in Victoria. Yeah, this was in Victoria, in Melbourne. Um, Lisa sent me something, a conversation from Reddit. It just seems to be people talking about the case, saying that there was a suspect, someone who wasn't investigated properly, but unless you have the police file and actually know what the cops did, that it's very hard to criticize who they are and what they've done. Kim said, if I had info about a crime, I'd come forward for free. Susie said, seems like a John Bonet mystery Australian version, sort of, except it wasn't in a home like John Bonet. This girl was in public, walking to school in the morning. Lisa said he seems to know so much. I mean, I'll reach out to him, but yeah, I'll have a look. I'll see what I can find out, but I've always been extremely unimpressed with the investigation into this one. It seemed like they just never had any leads ever. It just seemed like they never had any directions to go down. They couldn't find anyone. They couldn't really. They had a car that they thought might have been involved, but they never confirmed it. I think it was like an old Kingswood or something. Hold on. I think it was like an old Kingswood or something like that. Let's have a look. Yeah. If I remember correctly. They thought a car like this might be involved. Someone saw possibly the young girl in this vehicle. That was never really fully confirmed. It was just some sort of a lead. Yeah, here's another photo of it. There was a witness who came forward saying they thought they might have saw her in this car looking distressed, sort of asking for help. But it was never it was never confirmed, and there was no one else that could confirm the story that this one witness had. So don't know. SP1 said, like the digger girl who was found decades after she went missing with kids and everything. I don't know. I know there's some people who think she's alive and ran away from home, but Australia, you can be tracked with everything. And I feel like she wouldn't have been able to get through life without ID, medical, going to school or university, something like that. We get tracked pretty quickly. So we were. Hey, Pamela Roberts, how are you? We did for like the first hour of the show, and then we did one earlier that was like an hour and a half. So today we've done 2.5 hours of Gus Lamont. I don't know, is that enough? Or, I mean, we could do more. SPO, yeah. Kathy said, is that like the Vega? I don't know what that is. All right. All right. I think we're done for today. I don't have anything else to add in regards to Gus, but it's been a very exciting day. I think we're finally at a point that a lot of people thought we should have been at months ago, and that I know it all seemed really obvious to everyone here. And I know we all went, he never walked off on his own. And I know there was people screaming at the TV, screaming at the monitor. Like, I could feel it. In the community, it was palpable. Like, you could see it online. You could see people talking about it. There were so many people that were so convicted that they knew that whatever this story about him walking off was not true. And now we find out today that it isn't true. They have basically searched it with a fine-tooth comb with this AI thing, which looked amazing. And like, there's just no way. That was my cat. Rory, you're gross, girl. Good work, gross cat. My cat just threw up a fur ball. Gross. My cat's gross. Yeah. Yeah, it's Rory hacking stuff up. Because she's a long fur cat, so she always gets hairballs. Yeah, bloody cat. I don't know. I don't know what she's gonna do. All right. On that note, yeah. So today's been a big day. We learned a lot more than we thought we were ever going to. I never thought we were going to get a press conference like this today, and we now know that our gut feeling in a lot of us was correct, and most likely we're going to see some charges at some point for the person responsible for hurting Gus Lamont. The next part of it is finding Gus and figuring out where he is, because right now they don't know. And that's sort of the next part. So find him, bring him home to his parents, then charges, trial, that type of thing. So we've still got some steps to go. All right. I love you all. I have to go clean this up and go clean up this gross cat. Why do I have cats? They're just gross. They're cute for like some of the time, and then they're like really gross for other parts. Hey, I want to thank my friend Deborah. Deborah, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate it. And for my friend Kathy Lynch for advertising the trial facts. I appreciate it. And we'll be back tomorrow. It's been a crazy day, it really has. Enjoy. I don't think I'm going to enjoy. I think enjoy is the wrong word. And then we'll be back. Hey, I still think this is one of the coolest things I saw all day. This. I hope they use it in more missing person cases where it's out in a rural area, because this thing was really, really groundbreaking. The fact that it could identify all these things, including dead animals, makes me think it could pick up the body of a human as well. And that was really, really cool to see, really awesome. And hopefully we see it more and more and more into the future. Pamela, rewind, and you'll see us talking about it and going through the press conference. And then earlier today, we did another one at, it was like 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. We did another one for an hour and a half for the press conference. So you're welcome to watch it. All right. Have a good night out there. I'll see you tomorrow. What are we going to do tomorrow? Probably some more stuff about the missing woman in the USA from Arizona, Guthrie, Savannah, her daughter, and her mom who is missing, Nancy. So we're probably going to do a lot more on that tomorrow, considering there is a press conference coming up sometime in the morning around 10 a.m. So tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. There's supposed to be a press conference with the sheriff. Like he said, every 48 hours they would do a press conference. Tomorrow is 48 hours. All right. I love you all. Have a great night out there. Crazy day. Peace out, everyone. Bye.